don't forget, with the dementia population rising, you have to find a dementia-approved facility, and not every facility is going to accept dementia patients.
Yeah.
So that could be that you would go from one facility to another one, trying to find the right one.
And welcome into Financial Focus, brought to you by the best of the best in financial services, as named by the readers of the Lake City Reporter 10 straight years, concurrent and running. They are the team from GulfCoast Financial Services. And John Kuykendall, founder and CEO, here with us as always. John, today talking about maybe one of the most important things that we can address, and one of the most commonly left unaddressed risks and aspects of retirement, especially long-term care, and the potential cost that could either be catastrophic or we could plan proactively for it.
Yeah, long-term care is not covered by Medicare. So we have to figure out a way to handle long-term care ourselves. And, back in the 90s, we had some long-term care insurance that came out. Companies tried to figure out a way to provide long-term care insurance. And because actuarially we're living so long and our health is so much better than it has ever been, that they couldn't actuarially put a number on it. And so as the people lived longer and the cost of long-term care insurance went up, most of those insurance companies went out of the long-term care business. They're still around, but they don't write long-term care. So, in Florida, there is no way to get a long-term care policy anymore that will cover. Now, I was lucky enough to write some with a 10 pay. People paid for 10 years. They were paid up. Their benefit increases with an index rider every year. And so I had one client who was in a nursing home, and he was actually calling me every couple of months and giving me money because he was making money based upon the long-term care insurance and what his Social Security check was. And the fact that when you're in these facilities, other than the monthly cost, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So, it's not like you're entertaining yourself. So there, long-term care insurance is great, but as everything else with healthcare, the cost of long-term care is going up faster than inflation every year, and we have to be ready for it, or it could tank your retirement.
Yeah. And John, the stats on it are scary, right?
Oh.
Is that most people have not addressed it. And again, in Florida, can't get the traditional long-term care insurance. If it had been a profitable product for the insurance industry, I'm sure they would still be offering it, but they're getting out of the business because, according to stats from the Department of Health and Human Services, almost 7 in 10 people will require some amount of long-term care before the end of their life. 69.8% of people, as close to 7 in 10 as you can get there. And John, the cost of that, so significant, as you just alluded to, going up. It is probably our largest potential expense in retirement. Even well-funded retirement with affluent kind of investment account balances need to consider the potential impacts here.
Well, when looking at some long-term care numbers the other day, it could be for a single room in a facility, it could be as much as 10 grand in some area a month. So you're looking at 120,000 a year just going for long-term care.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, the government is not going to pay for this unless you're broke. And if you are broke, Peter, that Medicaid, you have to get into a Medicaid approved facility, and not all long-term care facilities will accept Medicaid.
And in fact, it seems like those that do, John, from my perspective, seem to be fewer and further between.
Well, first of all, Medicaid's not going to pay $10,000 a month. They're not going to pay for the piano and the lobby and the better food and the better rooms. You know what I mean? The better care. They can't afford to. And so what they're looking at are facilities that are adequate, but certainly not on the grandeur scheme that a lot of people who have a lot of money would be interested in. So, you have to find a facility. Now, in one case, my brother-in-law, his mother had to have long-term care, and they could only find a facility 90 miles away.
Hmm.
So his father had to drive 90 miles one way, 90 miles back in order to see his mother, his
Yeah.
wife. So, sometimes it's not going to be convenient. It's not, based upon what you think you need or what you want. It's based upon what's available. And don't forget, with the dementia population rising, you have to find a dementia approved facility, and not every facility is going to accept dementia patients.
Yeah.
So that could be that you would go from one facility to another one, trying to find the right one.
Okay, John. So I guess backing up from a higher level here, you already discussed a couple facts. Medicare does not cover long-term care, right?
No.
Basic routine coverage, hospital coverage, prescription drugs, those are Medicare. Medicaid is essentially healthcare welfare. It requires you to be in poverty. But let's back up a little bit. What is long-term care? Like what is the criteria that says, okay, this is a long-term care kind of situation?
Well, there are six daily living requisites that we talk about. They're called the activities of daily living, and they're bathing, eating, dressing, transferring, toileting, and continence. You can't control your bowels. So if two of those six are you can't do, then you're eligible for a facility for long-term care. And so we can't take care of ourselves at home anymore. We can't bathe, we can't drive, and we can't get dressed. And so we have to go someplace where they can look after us, or we have to have someone come into the home and take care of us. And Peter, that was an option, but it's getting harder and harder to find people to come into the house and stay. Granny's nannies aren't always available, and that cost is going up exponentially too, because it's getting costing more and more as the dollar wage goes up, that cost goes up. And
Yeah.
so I've seen as much as $60 a day. One of my clients told me he's paying $30,000 a month for home health care.
Wow. Wow. And those activities, I mean, if you can't do one of those, you need some assistance. But two of
Right.
them is the qualification, most of the standard
And
qualifications for needing long-term care. And then, John, you did touch on how much it costs, but again, this is such a cost that even a well-funded retirement needs some protection against this. So there are a few different methods that people have had: traditional long-term care insurance, a couple new ones that we'll discuss in a minute. But the other ones were essentially saying I am self-insured. Is that the best way to handle the protection against long-term care expenses, though?
Well, I don't really think so, Peter. For one, we don't know how long we're going to be in the facility. Statistics say it's going to be less than 5 years, but that's different for everyone.
Yep.
And secondly, if we have a spouse, we could use up all of our money with one individual and then leave the spouse with nothing for theirs. And so it's certainly not the best way for us to plan our retirement. Suppose I was in a situation where I was in a wreck, I was incapacitated, I needed long-term care, but in 2 or 3 years, I come out and I'm well again. My savings is gone and I'm still alive. So it certainly are some things that we need to think about, and it's not the best way to fund long-term care.
Yeah, and even for somebody who does have that level of wealth that could maybe reasonably say I'm self-insured, like I feel like they appreciate good utilization of money, leverage on money, and that sticking that money in the bank or a side account and saying, this is the money that I'm going to spend down to nothing if I have a long-term care event might not be the best way. So, John, that being said, we don't want to be dependent on our family. We don't want to be dependent on the government. Self-insuring, not the most effective way, but there are very reasonable, practical, even attractive options for addressing the potential expense of long-term care.
Well, that's right, Peter. And one of them, of course, is life insurance. We can buy life insurance while we're still insurable. And with the new actuarial tables, it's actually people in their 70s can still get insurance. So we could get a long-term care insurance, a life insurance policy with a critical long-term care rider that will pay the death benefit up front, and so that I can use that. That's certainly a great way if we're insurable. Then the other one is an annuity with an income rider that has a multiplier, we call it, which for like 5 years, I can double my income and help pay for my long-term care cost and also keep my spouse going.
So again, leverage,
Yeah.
expanding the potential utilization of those dollars. If we've got some money sitting around, money that we say, hey, this is in case money, right?
Yeah.
This is in case something happens in the future. That it's good to be able to have that in case money, but providing more protection for that in case instance can be accomplished through either of those options. And you mentioned the underwriting there. John, you said that in some cases the underwriting is pretty simplified with these things.
Oh, yeah, Peter. In some cases, you don't even have to answer the questions. You just, you take the application, you give them the money, and they will give you a tiered amount. Um, there are a lot of different options. It's not like it used to be, Peter, because people are living longer and because we have better actuarial tables, I believe. Life insurance has gotten cheaper. It's also gotten easier to get. And there are certain annuities with long-term care riders that we can do that you could have a medical problem and still be underwritten. So there are a lot of different options for us, Peter.
And John, you mentioned that people into their 70s and even beyond can potentially be medically underwritten and get good ratings on this. How about for somebody that, for instance, has IRA money, is in that stage where they're forced to take those RMDs? Is this a potential solution for a portion of that money that they don't really need but are being forced to take?
Well, sure, we can take that money and put it into an annuity or into a life insurance policy. And those payments will increase the amount we're going to have in there. And at the same time, we're either putting them in another tax deferred vehicle, the annuity, or putting them into a tax-free situation with the life insurance.
And one of the benefits, John, of these newer linked benefits or accelerated benefits, not use it or lose it. One way
Right.
or another, there is a payoff and a benefit from the approach and the utilization of these tools for the leverage, one way or another, whether we have a long-term care event or not.
Well, that's right. It's not like buying long-term care insurance and then paying for it for 10 or 15 years and dying and not needing it, but not getting your premium back versus setting up one of these linked products and then the beneficiary or the spouse will receive whatever's available left over. So we can't lose our money and certainly we're getting our money back. So it's a great way to do that and to create the leverage that you talked about, Peter. Leverage is key. I mean, the more we can leverage our money, the better off we are, because basically that's what banks do. They take your money, loan it at an interest rate, and leverage it and make income on it. So we can certainly learn from the banks.
Yeah. And at a certain point in time, John, I think people want their money to have purpose. They want to
Yeah.
give their money a job, a task, a purpose, some way to leave an impact. And this is a great way to provide that purpose for some of your dollars.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a great way that we know that we're going to be able to leave our spouse or our beneficiaries whatever we wanted to leave them without totally wrecking our entire retirement plan. And at the same time, it will give us the income we need during retirement. So if we don't need it, we can still get the income from it or get the benefit from it. So it's a great way, Peter.
Yeah. Well, the potential cost of long-term care, John, can be catastrophic, a significant financial risk that far, far too many of us are or under prepared for. And you always make an offer on the program to sit down and talk with people about what their concerns or worries are, or to help them uncover potential issues that they may not even be aware of, and then design that financially focused written retirement plan with them.
Well, Peter, it's certainly one of the things that's very complicated. There are a lot of options. I'm not sure all of those options are explained and have been educated to the public. And so we would love to sit down with anyone and explain to them what's available. Because as we've said on the show many times, medical cost will be one of the major costs in retirement. And it is increasing every year. You know, we have shortage of doctors, shortage of nurses. This is all going to create more stress on the system and make us have more cost, because we're going to have to pay those doctors we have more to keep them working. We can't afford for them to retire. It's amazing how many doctors we need, even in our little small community.
Yeah. Well, John, we always appreciate the time. And ladies and gentlemen, if you want to make sure that you've addressed this potentially catastrophic risk, that you've got a plan, that you've got an approach, that you've got a way to leverage your dollars to protect not only the financial well-being, but yourself and your family's standard of living, give those dollars a purpose, pick up the phone and give a call. It is just one aspect of the financially focused written retirement plan, but it is an important one for everyone to have addressed and to include in the planning. The long-term care, the healthcare expenses, part of your retirement plan. And John Kuykendall and the team from GulfCoast Financial Services will help put together a comprehensive plan, including a discussion and an approach to long-term care as part of your written retirement plan. If you give a call, 386-755-9018. Again, that number, 386-755-9018, 386-755-9018. John, long-term care, medical expenses, just another reason why quitting is for winners, but retirement is not for wimps.
Well, retirement is certainly not for wimps. It's a lot more difficult than I ever dreamed. And getting old is not easy, Peter.
You like how I wove your book title in there, John.
I like how it was really good that you brought that book in there, you know?
Yeah.
And we would love to give somebody a copy of that. If they'd like one, give us a call, and certainly we'll get it out to them. I think it does a great job talking about retirement and some of the loopholes that we're going to fall into if we're not careful.
Yeah, not the only one, by the way, but a big one. The potential cost of that healthcare and long-term care expenses, addressed and discussed in John's great book, Quitting is for Winners, but Retirement's Not for Wimps. So give a call or drop by the office there at GulfCoast Financial Services. They'd love to get that in your hands. John, always appreciate the time. And again, ladies and gentlemen, the number, if you'd like to get your plan put together, 386-755-9018. John, appreciate the discussion on an important topic.
Thank you, Peter. It is a great topic, and we need to get it out to the people.
Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and tune in for more financial focus by visiting GulfCoastFinancial.net. The information presented on this program is provided for informational purposes only, without warranty of accuracy, completeness, or suitability for a particular purpose. This program is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, legal, or tax advice. This information is general in nature and not specific enough to be construed as advice. You should not make any decision based on the information presented on this program without independent consultation with an appropriately licensed professional or competent advisor. Investment in securities or the market involves a potential risk for loss of principal. Trading, therefore, may not be suitable for all listeners. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Withdrawals of growth from annuities may be taxable as ordinary income in the year it is taken. Individuals should review contracts for specific details of the product's features and costs. Early withdrawals may subject the owner to penalties, fees, or taxes. John Kuykendall is registered with and securities are offered through Kovacs Securities, Inc., member FINRA SIPC, found online at www.kovacsecurities.com. Advisory services are offered through GulfCoast Financial Services, Inc., a registered investment advisor in Florida. GulfCoast Financial Services, Inc. is not affiliated with with Kovac Securities Inc. or Kovac Advisors Inc. Past performance is not indicative of future results. All investing involves risk. Investment decisions should be based on your own goals, time horizon, and tolerance for risk. Due to various factors including changing market conditions and/or applicable laws, the content may no longer be reflective of current opinions or positions. GulfCoast Financial Services Inc. has been named as Best of the Best since 2015 in the category of Best Financial Advisor in the Lake City, Florida area. The award was based on receiving the most votes in this category from a survey offered and tabulated by the Lake City Reporter. No direct or indirect compensation was provided to the Lake City Reporter and/or any raters, and the award is not contingent on future direct or indirect compensation offered to the newspaper and/or raters. Portfolio performance is not a criterion, and voting is open to any readers of the newspaper.